Comments?
Yeah, if someone could please close the door.
All right, Brendan, are you unmuted on your end?
We are unmuted on our end.
All right, Sandy, you can begin whenever you'd like.
Okay, welcome to the April 9th, 2025 full board meeting of Manhattan Community Board 6. My name is Sandy McKee and I'm the chair of CB6. The meeting is called to order at 7:01 p.m. Tonight we are joined by Assistant Secretary, not Assistant, full Secretary, Justin Goldberg, District Manager Jesus Perez, who's not feeling well, so he's joining us by Zoom, and Assistant District Manager Brendan Berth. We observe the following ground rules, and please mute yourself if you are on Zoom. New York State law requires all community board members who are not able to attend the meeting in person to have their cameras on and their first and last names displayed from the time the meeting is called to order until the time the meeting is adjourned. No one may speak until granted the floor. Please raise your hand and wait for me to recognize you. We do not have any microphones tonight, so if you could please come up and speak to the owl so that people at home can hear you. And then it's very important that only one person speaks at a time so that the members of the public watching at home can understand what is being said. Members of the public, if you wish to give remarks during the public session and have not already registered by filling out a form, you can register to speak on Zoom by using the Q&A feature and posting your name, affiliation, and specific topic you wish to speak about. If you're here in person to speak in the public session, you need to fill out our public speaker form, which is near the sign-in sheets for the PS newsletter. This needs to be done by 7:15. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office, was posted online, and appears on the screen before you. If there's no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Board members, if you object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand. Great. No objections. The agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. Our secretary, Justin Goldberg, will take attendance by roll.
We will now take attendance by roll call. Members, when your name is called, please say present. Majed Abdul Samad
Isn't with us tonight.
Tanya Arias,
Present.
Okay.
Kyle Tide, Neil Barclay, Martin Barrett, LB Barroso, Jim Collins. Stuart Desser,
Present.
Okay.
Beatrice Dismond,
Won't be with us tonight.
Maya Donahue, Robert Fairfam, Barack Friedman,
Present.
Jason Kromowitz,
Present.
Eric Goldberg, present. Justin Goldberg, present. Gloria Hage, Rabia Iqbal,
Won't be with us tonight.
Paige Judge.
Paige is here.
Paige is here.
Barack present. Jason Kromowitz, present. Eric Goldberg, present. Justin Goldberg, present.
Uh-oh.
There's background noise. If you could please mute.
Recall the call, oh, sorry. John Keller, present. Nadine Kalani. Katie Landa,
Present.
Sandra Leftoff,
Present.
David Levy,
He won't be with us.
David Lowenstein, Anton Molnar,
Present.
Richard Mintz,
Present, and Jim Collins and Neil Barclay are also here.
Sandra McKee,
Present.
Alec Militic,
Present.
Reshma Patel, Stephen Perez,
Present.
Marion Raw, Michael Monroe,
Present.
Lauren Schreier,
Present.
Ann Seligman,
Here.
Sandra Sherrod,
Here.
Livia Shrednick, Mubin Siddiqui,
Present.
Letty Simon,
Present.
Susan Steinberg, Mark Thompson,
Present.
Gabriel Turzo, James Vera,
Present.
Jerry Weinstein,
Present.
Sarah Whittington. Yeah. Now the quorum is present and quorum is 24. How many do we-
Yeah, 33. Okay.
Okay. The public hearing on what should be done with the Water Club site is now open. We have a brief presentation on the site, which James Vera is going to make for us.
Justin, I'm present. This is Kevin.
Yeah.
You can call my name. Thanks.
But
Oh, my goodness, I thought I shared my screen. Silly me.
It was up there for a second.
That is. Let's try this.
There a full screen option?
there we go.
When I press full screen though, it disappears, so maybe do it without full screen.
Okay.
But better to share it imperfectly than not share it all. I'll have it 100%.
And you can close this.
There we go.
Maybe 50%. Okay, that'll. No, okay, hi, James Vera. We've been in the land use committee, we've been working on looking at the water club. Water club recently closed permanently as of last year. And the site's been empty, the building itself has been barricaded. And the rest of the space is just sitting there. So we would love to make this public space. And we took a quick look at what that might mean. Do my best. Okay. So with the water club, it's very hard to see, but this is a red line here. That's the actual listed boundaries of the lot for city records. Now, the water club itself is, parking lot is here, so it doesn't quite align. There's more space than what is shown on city records for that lot. We still have to figure that out. But essentially it is from 34th Street. Sorry, 30th Street to 34th Street, but that kind of gets to the heliport area. Thank you. You can move to the next slide. Okay. Can we shrink it down a little bit more, please?
Sure. From 40%. Good.
Okay, so here's a drawing quickly. This is the water club building. The lighter purple are the two barges on the other side. What's in yellow is the parking lot, and this green strip is the existing bike lane. Again, here's the heliport there. So as you see, it's not a wide site. It kind of flares out slightly at the northern end, but it gets pretty narrow. Next slide. And so in looking at this, we started looking at precedents, and that most analogous to our situation is Brooklyn Bridge Park and Pier 26 in the Hudson River. Basically, they are parks built on piers. So you have landscape, you have different activities built into the design, and it was originally just a regular hard flat surface. And those seem to be things that we could use as inspiration of what the water club could. And then next slide. The other one is Gantry Plaza in Long Island City. Similar situation, over pier, developed into a park. And so, just to wrap things up, we took a look at the site, and these are not recommendations, these are just space studies to see what could fit in the area we have. So as a site tapers down, we're showing just first scale food trucks and some seating. We fit in a little playground here, essentially an amphitheater, and at the end of the property where it flares out the most, that seems to be the opportunity for some real kind of landscape, vegetation, trees, lawn of some sort. So that was just, these are just the beginning of a conversation of what comes next. And that's all I have.
Okay. If any members of the public wish to speak on the, on this matter and are here in person, please raise your hand. And if there are any members of the public who want to speak on this and are here on Zoom, please raise your hand through the Zoom raise hand function. And indicate your written statement or any questions in the Q&A. If any members of the public ask to speak on this ahead of time, you will be granted time to speak. You have up to 3 minutes to speak. Remember that before you begin speaking, please state your full name and your affiliation. And I believe we have Victoria Mazzola from Assemblymember Boras's office.
We have a hand raised to speak on this.
Okay. Is Victoria here?
Yeah, Victoria's here, but also a member of the public
Okay.
wishes to speak on this.
Did Victoria wish to speak?
I'll allow her.
We're promoting folks to panelists so that we can get them queued up. While we get them queued up, it might be good to mention that we do have one member of the public, a resident of this district, who submitted written testimony. I won't read the entire thing, but the gist of it is that they want CB6 to advocate for more East River access, no commercial use of it, just East River access and no parking. And that was a testimony submitted by Philip Herter, who lives in the East 30s.
Okay.
Because we're submitting that for the record. All right, Victoria Mazzola, are you seeking to testify?
Oh, nope. I was just speaking on behalf of Assemblymember Boris, but that's not yet.
Okay, we'll get to you later then. There was another person who, folks, can you raise your hand if you are looking to testify in the Water Club public hearing? They seem to have vanished.
I believe it was Eddie Bergman.
All right, Eddie Bergman, are you? Well, I don't see their hand.
Now Eddie's hand is raised.
Okay, please go ahead.
Eddie, are you looking to testify in the public hearing?
Just to share a comment.
All right, let me start the timer just so we're fair for everyone. All right, you may begin your remarks. You will have 3 minutes. You may
Sure.
begin.
My name is Eddie Bergman. I'm with Hill and Bay Restaurant. We just wanted to advocate that if there is commercial use, that we look at local businesses in the area to see how they can be engaged and involved, and that there are many examples of public-private partnerships that are could be very successful in a situation like this. Doesn't have to be all one way or the other way. So thank you very much for hearing me.
Thank you for your remarks.
Marty, are you speaking as a member of the public? Okay.
Point of information, in 92, 93, when the community board saw the area south of 23rd Street that was a broken concrete and had been a parking lot, we did raise $8 million, and by agreeing with EDC that there would be some commercial aspect in management of the area, we managed to build Stuyvesant Cove Park, which then opened in 2001. But, again, an RFP had to have been, developed by EDC for cash to come in order to manage the area. But it's certainly possible, and the amount of width that Stuyvesant Cove Park isn't much bigger than what this area is, so it's very possible to get done. Not tomorrow, but over the next several years.
Folks who are out there in person, you are easier to hear if you approach the owl, please, to make your remarks. Your voice is very faint.
All right. Okay, and I will say, CB6 also put out a survey looking for comments, and we did receive back, I think over 100 comments, so certainly we'll take all that into consideration. The public hearing on what should be done with the water club site is now closed. Oh, I'm sorry, Eric.
Just a quick question. I remember last month's meeting, it's okay. Last month's meeting, there was a suggestion that there was a proposal that we were putting forward that we were gonna wait for.
We were looking for community feedback, so we will be discussing this again at the land use committee.
Okay, no, just last month, the land use, their report said that they had an idea that they were gonna share.
I think you saw their idea.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And please attend the next land use meeting if you do have some ideas that you'd like to share. So yes, this is now closed. Our elected officials sent in their reports ahead of time, and they are compiled on the CB6 website. The links to the reports were sent out ahead of time, and for your convenience can be found in the chat on Zoom or by going to our website's page for full board meetings. I will now call on the elected officials who RSVP'd so they can take questions from CB6 members and the public about their pre-submitted report. Each elected official will be able to field questions. If there are no questions, we will move on to the next elected official on our list. If the officials have a time-sensitive matter to report on that didn't make it into their report, they will have 3 minutes to do so. And during this part of the meeting, we also hear from government agency representatives who have requested to address the board tonight. And we do have our council member Keith Powers here, and I don't know if Diana is here as well. Okay, great. If you'd like to come on up, I think you're first on our list. Thank you.
Hey everyone. Thank you guys. Thanks for having us, and nice to see everyone at home as well. City Council Member Keith Powers. First of all, nice to see everyone tonight, and nice to be in Waterside Plaza. We actually sat in this room a couple of years ago after this landmark deal to help lower the rents here. I just ran into one of the people who was outside, who was a beneficiary of it. So nice to be always in a place where we've been able to do great things. I think we're going to talk a little bit about Spark tonight. Most people know this was a big endeavor that we undertook with the community board, EDC, and the city to think about that property right across the bridge, which is now currently Hunter Brookdale campus for sciences, and a way to think about how to make that a long-term success story for this neighborhood. You want to start? Or you want me to go first? Okay. So just take some history here, and then I want to read through kind of where we landed. If you remember years ago, there was a proposal before I was even in the city council that wanted to make that property into a sanitation garage, so that all the trucks would be coming through right here in this neighborhood. The community board, many of my neighbors, I see Stuyvesant Cooper, Waterside, Kips Bay neighbors, all deeply oppose that plan for I think a couple of reasons. One's the emissions and the trucks that are becoming, the sort of space considerations and issues about these really narrow streets, and honestly, best use. What could really be the best use of a very big property where we have tremendous opportunity to do really good for the community. So fast forward to 2018, myself, Councilman Rivera come in. This plan still sort of surfacing around, still a lot of opposition to it. Fast forward to just a few years ago, we have a new proposal that comes forward, and that proposal is to now create a whole life sciences campus that will continue to integrate CUNY campuses on that property, to put educational uses in there beyond the CUNY campuses, and then really make it an entire hub for the life sciences, which is an industry right now that we see as a growing industry with a lot of opportunity for New York to take the lead from other cities and to become the main focus city for life sciences. So That was, I think, for many of us, a more welcome proposal than what was being put there before, and did feel like a good way to maximize the use of it. So I went through we actually started with a task force. Thank you to CV6 for your hard work on that. Thank you to many of our stakeholders in the neighborhood. And through that, discussed not only the proposal, but the ways to make sure that there was public access to that space, talk about parks and designs, talk about different uses that could be allowed or on that. I'm very happy and proud to say that we got that done. We delivered at the council a unanimous vote on that. There's a proposal right across the street, Councilman Rivera had been working on, so together have been able to deliver 2 projects that will bring a whole lot of jobs to the area when it comes to life sciences, but a whole lot more. It's so much, I'm gonna actually have to read it, even though I could probably just do a lot of it on top of my head. But centered to all of this was a lot around education and a lot around jobs and economic development. So I'm going to tell you the sort of comprehensive sort of landing on all of this. So what you guys know is what there is today is basically the Hunter campus and some dorms. I will note, as I noted often, one very famous constituent of mine, my mother lived in those dorms, so I took a lot of care to make sure that our CUNY students had a place here on this campus and beyond. So starting point of it, we're getting a brand new high school in the neighborhood. We'll wait a second. So we are getting a brand new 530 seat high school for the neighborhood, which will be dedicated to life sciences and other forms of kind of healthcare sciences. So that will be a brand new high school that will also be matched with a new STEAM center, which is actually going to serve, I think, 10 different high schools from over. So no matter if you're in any 10 high schools in this area, plus the one that's on the campus, you will have access to the STEAM center that will help bring new sort of science training and skills training to those high school students as well. We were fighting really hard to get even a minor expansion of pre-K and 3K seats in this area, because our zip codes around here have waiting lists and a need for that. So we got 30 new 3K seats for the area. We wanted a lot more. We wanted at 75, but this was the capacity they were at. And honestly, until the very last minute, we were at 0. So we were able to wrangle out about 30 seats for them. Bellevue Garden Park, which is just on the other side of the bridge and just down the block, that is now going to be accessible and be a public park open to the public. So that will now be, right now it's closed and it's used for the hospital purposes only. That will become a public park and accessible to anyone from the community. We have had a long conversation about the waterfront in this neighborhood, about ways to make it more accessible. Thank you to Community Board 6. You guys have teed up for us a conversation around parking in that area that we thought could be converted to a public park space. Last year in the budget, I got $600,000 to fix that area up if we were able to ever remove it. Good news is we are converting that NYU Langone kind of crummy parking lot on 34th Street into a new public waterfront park. That's going to be the funding that I got. You can talk for that. We like park space. This is a continuous conversation we've had about how to make the waterfront more friendly and accessible. The current plan for that is to be a little bit of an adult kind of recreational space to go alongside the dog run we created a few years ago, and to continue to make that area nicer. So rather than parking, you're getting a park, but you're taking the ING off and we're giving it to the public. So we're very excited about that. For the east side, East Midtown waterfront, we're going to get $50 million to do critical infrastructure repairs. There's a lot of repairs in the infrastructure that need to be done to make that space continue to be used. They needed to put that money in. So we're going to get $50 million to do that. We're getting on the actual campus an acre of new enhanced public space. They're calling it Spark Square, and maybe we'll name it something more Sandy Square or something more fun once it gets done. But the point of that is not only for the people that are going to be going to school there and working there, but also on the weekends, people have some more extra space there. So we're going to get the waterfront park, we're going to get that public space, we're going to get Bellevue South Park open. So a lot new ways to enjoy public space in this area. Critical on this site, we're getting a Hunter College, three schools that are going to be part of that, 3 CUNY schools. We're getting the Hunter College School, a new BMCC campus, and a graduate school of public health and health policy on this site, meaning that you can go to high school there, You can go to college there, you can go to graduate school there, and yes, you'll hopefully be able to work there as well. We are creating an entire new life sciences workforce on this as well, which will be kind of a big anchor tenant there as well. The dorms, like I said, couldn't go home for Thanksgiving dinner if I didn't get new dorm space, if I couldn't talk to my mom about it. We replaced every single dorm that was there with new dorms, and we actually got an expansion of 80 new dorms as well on the east side. So we're gonna now have 731 total dorm rooms for CUNY students, so that CUNY students who really, I think, do deserve to have a place that's more affordable than your average rent, continue to have a place. That's something I really wanted to make sure we fought for. Our local schools, PS 40, PS 116, PS 281, PS 59, Sauk School, and 104 are all gonna be part of this. We're bringing life sciences education into the classroom there, and also going to collaborate with what's on the site so that the local schools, our local public schools, can actually participate and get new programming here as well. We're going to build a new state-of-the-art facility for the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, and I don't think what is the most exciting part of it for you guys, but we're going to rebuild a building that's really important to the city, a new ambulatory care and wellness center for Bellevue Hospital, all being built and operated with Union, because we have union agreements on all of them. And if you walked over the bridge here today on 25th Street, we're also doing a new bridge for Waterside, so there's a better, an actual accessible way to get over this, because that bridge is wildly overdue for work. Couple more things. Solar One, which is our friend and neighbor on the waterfront, we are giving them funding so they can continue to operate and do a maintenance agreement, Stuyvesant Cove Park, to help take care of that park. We have a good partner in there. We have a new process we're going to undergo to talk about housing, because there was conversation on housing, to identify new affordable housing sites in this area where we might be able to generate new housing. And lastly, and that's long, one of the things that really mattered was that First Avenue corridor from 23rd to 34th, we all felt like could use a little more life on the streetscape. So we're going to be making sure that in those buildings, there's now ground floor retail in there, potentially dining and restaurants, potentially other type of space. So when you do that walk, I do it often. There's a little more going on there, which I think will make for a nicer and safer neighborhood in there as well. So we did all that. I want to thank you guys to CB6 and everyone for that. And I don't know if you want to jump in and add anything, Jeff, but I have to just say our agency partners here in the mayor's office were extremely helpful. And when I was being a pain in the, you know what, to help get some of these things, I do appreciate their willingness to work.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember. My name is Diane. I'm a Vice President in Government and Community Relations at EDC. I mainly tonight wanted to thank the board, Councilmember Powers, Councilmember Rivera for all of their work both on Spark and Innovation East, and take a moment of acknowledgement now that we're past the ULURP approval, which is very exciting. I was going to go through my highlight reel, but you hit so many of them. I'll just mention a couple of more. One thing that we're really excited about, a PLA, a project labor agreement, has been reached both for the construction and building operations for both Spark and Innovation East. So the agreement is with Building Trades Council for the construction of Spark and Innovation East, and for the future building maintenance and the future life sciences component of Spark, and on the Innovation East life sciences building. Just to add a little bit on the public space and the work done by the Spark Community Task Force, it's really exciting to see so many of these things memorialized in the POA. And I will also mention that the work done by the Community Task Force resulted in a set of design guidelines, and that's going right into the RFP for phase 2 of the project. So much of that is the basis directly from the community input that we have received. We're really excited about the parking lot, the 34th Street parking lot that you mentioned. EDC and Parks worked to close the funding gap on that, so we could go ahead and advance. As part of Innovation East, there is a funding agreement for the Port 55 First Avenue team of $25,000 a year to support Bellevue South Park, which is very exciting. And I would encourage anybody who's interested, there's so much in all of this. And I think what was already a very exciting kind of generational project and investment into the neighborhood, and such an unprecedented state and city partnership at this intersection of public investment, private investment, all of these public institutions has really been rounded out by the input that we got from the community board, our work with Councilmember Powers and Councilmember Rivera. So that's very exciting. And one more thing that I'll mention on the housing component, housing is something that was discussed a lot as part of this project. And as part of these POAs, there's a commitment for the city to work with Community Board 6, Councilmember Powers and Councilmember Rivera on the housing plan for this district. We want to make sure that we're addressing that need for additional housing in the neighborhood, if not on Spark.
Right from the beginning, when this was starting, we asked that Community Board 6 can have a home. Unless I missed it in the presentation, we asked for our own offices, so we didn't have to keep moving every few years. And so meeting space, I didn't hear that mentioned.
There's so in this site, and I believe actually in Councilmember Rivera's location too, there should be meeting space sites. We've talked to the agencies about it. I don't know if you want to share any more information.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Space both means as it relates to these projects, community board office space and community board meeting space. So as part of Spark, we've committed, if the community board is interested, I know it's something we continue discussing. If they are interested in moving, if they are interested in space on Spark, we will support and accommodate that, working alongside DCAS. And on the Innovation East side, the development team has made a commitment in working with the community board for meeting space. And it will be made available to additional community organizations and nonprofits if they're interested in using the multi-use underground floor level as well.
This is like, our current office is our 5th within my term on the board.
We were clear about it. They were clear about it to us. So as you heard, there is an agreement if you guys decide you want.
Well, what a joy to have you here in person.
Thank you.
Councilmember Powers, thank you for all you've done on Spark. This is great. I'm going to just change the subject a little bit because I know you've been very good in this process of taking down the sheds and so on and so forth. And I have two concerns because when I first read your communique that came out, there was one thing that concerned me quite a bit. There was a section that said that there was a proposal that if the project was delayed for more than the period of time that was designated, that people could stop paying the rent. And
No.
I hope that didn't go through.
No, that was never part of it, never part of
I read somewhere in your, okay, good, because that would not be good.
it. Yeah.
And the, and the other thing that I just wanted to check with you, I know you work with the Council of New York City Co-ops and Convents, right? Very
Yeah,
happy.
yeah, that's okay.
And I'm very glad that you tried to extend the FISP cycle.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
One thing that from now on, it's going to be 12 feet, the minimum.
Yeah, so.
That's going
yeah.
to increase the cost.
So let me tell you,
Oh,
let me
okay.
tell you, let me do the 2-second background on this. So we passed a really landmark package of bill the other day, 2 weeks ago, to reform our scaffolding laws in New York City. The green things that you
Right.
see on every single block, no matter where you go, and maybe only on a rainy day are you actually happy to see. We had packed, myself and Councilor Botcher had a series of bills. There's 4 different components of it. One is making them better when they must go up, nicer and brighter and whatever, so that includes illuminating underneath them. So that when you walk under, they're not dark alleyways. It changes little to known to most people. It's actually in the law that it can only be hunter green. That's why it is only hunter green. And so we actually changed that, so you can use a whole variety of colors, including the building color itself. And we are allowing it to go up to 12 feet.
Allowing it, but
And
it's not a requirement.
It's not it's the new standard should be 10 to 12 feet, but there's a whole lot of exemptions there, including obstruction to a window, obstruction to a building, to an entrance, things like that. We do want to raise it because we think it provides a lot better sight lines. The PD and the DAs have told us that without the lighting and the sight lines, they often crimes that happen underneath that they can't solve for. But there are a whole lot of, it's gonna be 8 to 12 now, it's 8 today, it's the standard. But we did want to allow it to be higher because we think it's a lot nicer.
Yeah.
On the other two parts of it, the other parts we are extending the FISP, which is basically inspection period.
Thank God.
It is one size fits all right now. Now, we do need safety, we do need to make sure those things are well, but we also think we can treat a lot of different buildings of different types, like a glass and steel building going up that was built tomorrow. That we feel can be treated differently like a terracotta building, which is a little, so we are extending that, allowance. We are gonna work with Department of Buildings on exactly how to handle all the different types of buildings, but the good news is it moves from 5 to 6 automatically, and now we're gonna open up the window for what buildings would be. And then the last one is, we are extending, we worked with the co-op association, the condo association about some of the rules on this, but we do want to see that work is being done. And we don't want the 10-year cycle, 10-year scaffolding go up, and we never hear from the owner, we never see anything happen. So we are requiring some regular reporting after a certain set period to make sure that we can see that work has been happening. It's not just going up and it's going down. We feel that is really essential to make sure that we know work is happening, we get it down. And so those are kind of 3 components of the whole thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Councilmember Powers, I just wanted to thank you for advocating for a 34th Street busway.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
And Stevie 4, Stevie
No, you
5,
need to the most.
CB6.
Water side needs the most.
Stevie 4, Stevie 5, and C6 passed a joint letter, resolution.
Yes, thank you.
Advocating for it, you're advocating for it.
Yeah.
How do we get it past the finish line so we get this gold standard public transportation? Do you partner with Mark Levine?
Yeah, well, no,
Sponsor,
we need everyone,
advocating
look,
for it?
I think
How do we get past the finish line?
I think your community board support, I mean, is very meaningful because I think it does demonstrate to a lot of elected officials, there's community support for it, and I think that's always one of the biggest hurdles. And when we did the 14th Street one, L train was shutting down, there was urgency around it, but we still had folks who were opposing it. My neighbors were pretty in support of it, but there was a lot of concern from other parts of it, so I think you're in a good starting place. I think to continue, really just keep building that support. And look, I think demonstrating that it can be successful and also being, I think, somewhat flexible about how we think about how it operates so that we can accommodate those who might have some real concerns. And there are going to be some genuine concerns in there. So I think just continue building out, but I think what you guys are doing is so helpful. And thank you. Yeah.
First, thank you, Councilmember.
And I see you. Yeah.
Art
Yeah.
and innovation. One thing I wanted to raise, and we're discussing it tonight, there's a resolution before the board about the fact that Innovation East and Spark will have a simultaneous construction period.
Yeah.
At least one construction quarter. So they'll presumably there will be kind of a bottleneck in emergency vehicles going up to Bellevue and then one center, particularly.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring it to your attention so you can do
Good
the
point.
that.
Great point, and we don't want it to become a crazy mess right over here. All great things happening, all great projects, but for the folks that live here, the folks that travel that corridor, like I'm sure you do and I do, we want to make sure that, so, I think maybe one of the goals here will be to work with to figure out how we can sequence how it's supposed to work so we don't run into that, but certainly once you have your resolution, send it over, we'll think it.
I think Reshma has had her hand up for quite a while.
Okay, right,
Reshma.
okay. Of course, yeah.
I wanted to know, how does it funded, is the funding locked in?
Yeah, it represents an over $1.6 billion investment. About half is coming from the city, about half is coming from the state. I'm not a budget expert, perhaps that my colleague Ben is online. If you have more details about the budget, jump in. But we're definitively moving forward. I'll also mention the project is broken up into pieces. So the first phase, it's moving forward, that funding is locked in, and that represents all of the construction of the public institutions. And then the second phase has the private life sciences component. That's a little different. So a lot of the public funding is front loaded and all of those major components are moving forward. But if you're interested in more specific budget details, I'm happy to get.
I was more
for you.
concerned about just given the environment that perhaps the funding, if it wasn't locked in, so.
Yes, understood. We are not concerned about a threat to funding.
Oh, good.
That's the only project.
Yeah.
There's another question for the, yeah.
Our board's been advocating for the dedicated pedestrian path on the South Water roadway, the Queensboro Bridge, for about 2 years, if not longer now. There was reporting in the New York Times a couple weeks ago that the mayor's office is currently holding up the opening of it, and it's otherwise the construction's finished and it's ready to open. Have you been in touch with the mayor's office?
Not recently. I support it, just so you know. I have not. I know some of my colleagues have. I think got to get an update from some of them who've been, like, I know kind of on the other side has been talking about it. I support it. I think slow down, we'd be moving forward ahead with it, but I'm happy to reach out to the mayor's office and I can get you guys on. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. A question, comment, as somebody who is a product of STEAM, on which Bronx Science do as much as debate and philosophy as, robotics. It may be premature, but I would like to see the A not get shoved to the margins and be integrated with what's the offering is.
Yeah, it's gonna be up to them, but I agree wholeheartedly, and that A is in there for a reason, and this will be the third, I think, STEAM center in the whole city, the first in Manhattan. I've been to the one in Brooklyn, I think it's one in the Bronx as well, so this will be really important for it, but I totally agree.
We have another
Also,
short
Just
question.
just interject first, those of you who are further away from the owl, please
Come
come
to
up.
the owl.
Because we're getting complaints that people at home are
They're
having
not
trouble
hearing what we're
hearing.
talking about.
5 seconds to figure out the owl, then.
And the microphones are not working, so
Yeah.
the microphones are not working.
Roaming out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to make a really quick note, Councilman Powers was at, we had a Murray Hill event last week. And Councilman Powers showed up and, made a big difference for our community, and it was a small local event and you're still there, and I just wanna, really appreciate coming to those events, and thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
And Michael.
Taking him on the road with me everywhere I go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Or has it been answered already? Michael Ann?
You're on mute.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, Keith. Thank you so much, Keith and team. Thank you so much. That report was, wow, very impressive. And we're looking forward to that all coming to fruition. That's going to be amazing in our community. I wanted to ask you, I love the parking missing the ing. And I wanted to ask you though, have we forgotten about the Esplanade and maybe a phase 2 of that dog run that was so wonderfully supported by you? Is there a phase 2? Are you giving any more funding towards that and even the Esplanade period?
Look, the dog run's been wildly successful, and I want to give credit to everyone who helped us push us to get funding for that, and we were able to deliver money to help get that set up, and I think we think we were there one day and somebody told me she was gonna move out of the neighborhood and told us she stayed just because of the dog. I didn't know it was gonna be that powerful, but it was quite, look, I don't know if we have a plan today for a second dog run there, but certainly on that Esplanade there, we are trying to do more like that park I mentioned that we're putting there. Always interested in putting more waterfront amenities out there. The long-term goal, of course, is to continue to build what ends at the waterfront Esplanade, the East River Esplanade that ends on 54th Street, 53rd Street now. Instead of, if you haven't been there, it's beautiful. And so yeah, the long-term goal is to build that down, and we've been stalled by some old arrangements that were supposed to come through around funding. I pushed in the last administration to get them to get moving on that, so they should be moving on that long-term goal, but that strip you're talking about, I'm always open to ideas.
Yeah, I mean, you look across the way, I mean, there's quite a difference, and it seems like it was forgotten. And I don't know if anybody has a record of this, but I heard that when they built the copper buildings, that they were supposed to give us something that looked like what's in Long Island City, and Mark's, nodding, but that's okay. I heard something to that tune, but when you look at that space, it's barren, and it's a slab of pavement with turf on it and a couple of picnic tables and an umbrella and
Look, better than it used to be. Better than it used to be.
Better than it used to be, but it's been like that for years.
And I will say that I am no expert, but I believe when I was on this community board, it was when actually we approved those copper buildings. I don't think there was an arrangement in place, but there were arrangements in place around the Esplanade to be built out that was around the UN and their needs, which never actually came to fruition. So that's why the city had to move forward with it without that funding. But look, we are going to keep building and make progress. It takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of time to do some of this stuff, but we put the dog run in, we're able to add in some beautification effort. I think this park will be a nice addition, and the next council member will have a great time being able to continue to build it out. Hopefully I will be the borough president to help out with that. But it's a work in progress and a long-term goal of all of us. But as somebody who grew up right there, I know how important it is to be able to walk
you.
out. That's what to do.
Thank you.
Last question, Larry, quickly, please.
I have a question about the Stuyvesant Cove Park and the Patrick J. Brown Walk. There's been some great collection of graffiti that's been put up on the walls there. There was an effort to clean it up recently, but the graffiti is back and there's been some dumping. What is the long-term plan for maintaining that bike path, especially after Solar Tubes open?
Yeah. You're right. There is a need to continue to provide. We may have to figure out a partner to work with and fund to do some of that, maybe with Stuyvesant Cove Park and Solar One, Solar Two. Because while it's a beautiful park, taking quickly focus, right? It's also under the FDR becomes a sort of an easy source part really quickly. So I think it should be a conversation we all have together about finding a partner who might be able to do that. We might be able to, through the council budget, be able to find some funding to help do some regular maintenance of that. Still find that resources, but we might be able to do some of that. We have a Stuyvesant Cove Park Association. We could work with them. Solar One, there might be a collaboration here between us. I would be willing to put up some money. My budget's half probably ringing, but I would be willing to see if we could find some funding to help out with that. But obviously, it would have to be coming probably from multiple sources. But it's important. It's important that we don't have our flood walls go up, get graffiti on them constantly. My office will receive calls about that. I walk down there a lot, so we will usually send it to the agent. We will send it to the agency that need it, but I don't want it to be on a whack-a-mole basis like this other stuff. So we should have a conversation about how to continue to do that. I'd be happy to.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thank you everyone.
And we thought we'd follow up with Carlina Rivera, if she's still, she may be putting the young ones to bed. I don't know.
He should be in bed, but he's ready. Look, he's dressed, he's in his pajamas. So hi, everyone. I want to thank Keith, Councilmember Powers and EDC for their presentation. I think it's really important that with a project as big as that, we come in and talk directly to you. I know I gave an update last time, a little bit on Innovation East and a little bit of Spark, but I just thought that sort of in-depth presentation on exactly what was negotiated is important. I mean, I think Innovation East and Spark, they're going to be really transformative projects that's going to strengthen our city's position as a global leader in this industry, and it's going to deliver meaningful benefits to our communities, a lot of which you heard. These are state-of-the-art facilities. They're going to create tens of thousands of new jobs. They're going to provide educational and workforce development opportunities for local residents and students. That's something we focused on over and over again, was education and workforce development, and specifically supporting the existing educational infrastructure that's in the neighborhood and making sure that they also got the opportunities that are going to be within the space. I think it's also a good complement to the other things in the area. Besides our hospital systems, we do have a budding life sciences corridor around Park Avenue South, something like Deerfield, or I would say the Cure, which is really a space where people are trying to find innovative solutions, especially combating deadly diseases. And then, of course, we have tech in Civic Hall, and that's something that I spent a lot of my energy working on as well. I'm very grateful again to the partners, especially Community Board 6. I know we wanted an office. We did get a meeting space. We're not closing the door on that. But really, access to free meeting space, the maintenance for Bellevue South Park. I use Bellevue South Park all the time. It's a really, really wonderful space that I think through its renovation has livened up that area of the neighborhood. And even though the treescape, the landscape didn't change. The park just seems so much brighter. So we want to make sure that we continue that maintenance in a responsible way. And we're utilizing our local allies who have done so much work already. And then Mount Carmel Place and East 27th Street walkway. We have a housing plan for our district. We asked multiple agencies to identify lots across the district when we knew that that space specifically on the west side of First Avenue wasn't going to be housing. And so we have some lots that are in development, some in CB3. We're looking at CB6, but that's certainly been, you know, a cornerstone of my tenure in the council, which has been housing. And just to hit on what I think is probably one of the hot topics that maybe wasn't covered, because Keith answered a lot of questions and he did a brilliant job. But one thing that's ongoing that was touched on a little bit is the budget, right? I think many of us are kind of feeling this sort of economic whiplash, I feel like it maybe is the term, with tariffs, pause, no tariffs. What does that mean for the city? Are we insulated from the rest of the country because of sort of the nature of New York? And I mean, the answer is yes and no. I mean, we have a lot of protections in place. We have a lot of industries that are sort of standing on its own feet, but we're certainly going to be affected. And in the budget, we're in the process of waiting for the state to pass their phase. But we've done the preliminary budget response to what the mayor first proposed, and we're going to be getting into executive budget hearings in May. And some of those top lines that I just think are really important are things like money for pre-K and 3K, 200 million for that, almost 85 million for senior services, 75 million to baseline arts and culture organizations, more money to baseline funding so that we can have more libraries with 7-day service, more money for the Parks Department. Last year, a lot of money was restored from the mayor's preliminary budget cuts, but the Parks Department really suffered. That's why we had to negotiate extra money to maintain Bellevue South Park, because you can just see it. There isn't enough personnel, there isn't enough money for services, and there was even a kind of weird sort of fight between sanitation and the Parks Department over who picks up the garbage. So, you know, we're trying to work on things like that in a straight sort of no nonsense, no drama kind of fashion, while also advocating for things like community compost and city FEPS vouchers, which are for housing, supporting food pantries, fair fares, which are discounted metro cards for low-income working people, open streets money, and other really necessary programs that the mayor didn't fund or fully fund. And especially when it comes to, if I could just mention the hospital, Beth Israel is closing. It's closed. We had to fight for a 24-hour urgent care center in its place. And I have a really aggressive campaign to ensure that Bellevue Hospital actually receives the funding that they need to expand and meet the demand from Beth Israel, and investments in other health services like gender affirming care, mental health resources, including for those that are experiencing homelessness, maternal health resources, more nurses. So a lot of our time right now is being spent on preliminary budget conversations and going into that more intense part of the timeline. We are still waiting for the state. They're late. The council's never late. But I'm sure you'll hear from my colleagues on that. So you heard a lot about Spark. You heard about Innovation East, some budget stuff, and just kind of the ongoing, not just the federal stuff, but also what's coming out of the mayor's office. You know, whether they're going to put ICE on Rikers Island. There's just a lot of things that are coming at us, and we're trying to address that. But I'm happy to take questions. I see, I already see a hand up.
Michael Ann?
Yes, I wanted to say thank you for the email I got the other day from Brianna and Rodriguez for the May 14th. I'll mention it for you, for the May 14th session on how to compost.
Yeah.
And I'll read you my response to them, just because, you know, I've been involved with green and cleaning for a long time. So I wanted to just lend a little bit of what I thought would be helpful with this and excited for this to happen on May 14th. I'm really glad to see that you are doing this, as there seems to be a real disconnect with some of the building superintendents and maintenance people. Example, the supers are not aware of how to do the composting nor integrate it into the building disposal areas, nor do many tenants know how to do this. So education is needed, definitely. So this email should really try to reach out to all the buildings as much as you could possibly have in your Rolodex, as it's obviously a DOS it's obvious that DOS is not on top of it, or it seems. I think we'll need more of these events and literally hands-on demonstrations for big buildings. Example, I'd hold a compost event at a few buildings and have them announce this to the tenants to join. And it's a great way to connect with the community at this time. Those were my comments. And I just thought that, going forward, I've went around to at least a half a dozen buildings asking them if they know how to integrate this into their building. And there seems to be, they haven't gotten notices from their buildings. They don't know how, they're just like, I don't know. So I said, when you plan on putting signages around and letting your tenants know? I don't know. So anyway, I just wanted to thank you, because I think that's a step forward in helping, I guess, with sanitation. But I know Marissa's on here, so maybe we can hear from her as well. That was one of my questions. That's going to be one of my questions.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, and Marissa and the Department of Sanitation, they've been great partners on the composting thing. We've done in-person workshops. We find that we just get better attendance as a webinar. But we always want to offer the in-person option. So we've done it. We typically use our library spaces for a lot of this stuff because they're public, they're accessible, people trust them. But we're excited to do the webinar. We have found that webinars related to like trash, rats, and Local Law 97 have probably been our most popular webinars. We've had hundreds of people attend. Your point as to the gap right now, disconnect, it's really, really evident. And I think that the city, I want to commend the city because we're rolling this out, but it's always the community engagement piece that'll lose folks. And I was walking on East 10th Street the night before it went into effect, what was like a week ago or so. And, Pix 11 was out there basically getting comments from building landlords like, you don't know this is happening, do you? And they didn't. And like, we just have to be better. We have to be better public servants in our messaging. So I take your advice very, very seriously, and I agree wholeheartedly. So we're going to try to even be better ourselves in terms of our outreach for attendance for this particular event.
Great, thank you. I don't think we have any more questions, and it's freezing in here, so we're gonna move on.
I'm so sorry.
It's
I'm
really
only sweating because I have this little space heater. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you for coming.
This
Okay.
is why we need a space for community board meetings.
What's that? Oh, you don't have to do that? Oh, yay. Okay, we're gonna get some heating. But I think Harvey Epstein, are you still with us?
I am, Sandy.
Okay, are you in Albany?
I am, Sandy.
That's what we thought. Work hard, finish that budget.
Yeah, we're trying, it's been a rough couple of weeks up here, people know that the budget was due April 1st. And so, we are not as far along as we want to be, 9 days late for the budget. We're really focusing on policy issues. The governor put a lot of policy issues up front, issues on masking and a new bill on masking. Talked about the bell-to-bell issue about getting phones out of public schools. I think that issue's mostly been resolved. Changes to Discovery. I know in 2019 we made some changes to Discovery, and the DAs, including our DA, are concerned about the too many cases getting dismissed through failure to provide Discovery. And so those are some of the issues. We're talking about some election reform bills, campaign finance reform. There's an issue on corrections officers. People know earlier there was a strike by corrections officers. There's a shortage of corrections officers, and she's trying to lower the age of corrections officers from 21 to 18. So there's a lot of issues that we're trying to grapple with on the policy front. And then we're gonna at some point start talking money, which we just haven't really started doing yet. So, you know, the budget's $253 billion and we haven't started negotiating on anything. And, you know, that's gonna take us some time. So we're gonna be vote for a budget extender tomorrow. And so that'll extend the budget deadline till Tuesday, and we'll assume back up Tuesday and keep doing extenders until we kind of get something done. And so that's the budget update. But I think, you know, at the end with our one house budget, we have a lot of good things in there. We have some really good, you know, things that we're trying to push. Free CUNY for 2-year programs, like go back to the days when CUNY was free, and for associate's degrees. I think that would be a win if we could do that for CUNY and SUNY. We've talked about extending summer youth funding. Hopefully that'll be a part of what the final budget is. Free school lunches across the state for all kids in public schools. We've expanded pre-K, 3K, and 2K slots, after school slots, so we'll have more access to free after school. So a lot of things where there's a tax cut in there for people making below $250,000 that hopefully will maybe stay in the final budget. So there's a lot of working class, middle class issues we're trying to get done, but it's going to be it's really slow moving, unfortunately, on that front. A couple of bills that passed in the last couple of weeks. You know, one bill we've been working hard on is just if people come to the Capitol or the Legislative Office building, there are no all gender bathrooms, and so we passed a law a couple of years ago saying that if there were single stalls, we had to convert those single stalls to all gender stalls to at least have one. But we have a lot of New Yorkers who do not specifically identify as male or female, and we don't have any bathrooms for them. So passed a bill 2 weeks ago to at least have one all gender bathroom in every government building. It's really trying to make, you know, New Yorkers who, you know, are coming. We have a lot of transgender New Yorkers who come lobby in Albany. They don't have any place to go in the Capitol or the Legislative Office building or any other government building across the state. So those are some of the things that we're working on. We have a bunch of events coming up. I think, Joanna, did you put the newsletter in the chat? I don't know if people seen it. Like, people love our shredding events, so those are coming up. We have one at the end of April. We'll have one in early June. We're having an Earth Day event in the Stuyvesant Park Neighborhood Association in late April in a couple of weeks. Kevin's also doing one. We're co-sponsoring at St. Barton, so we have a lot of Earth Day events going on in the neighborhood. It's been, you know, it's a pretty busy kind of time, and I think we're doing a lot of local issues. But, you know, obviously, you know, if you know, I'm in Albany a lot because we have to finish up this budget in the near future. And I'm happy if there's a question or two. I know you spent a lot of time with Keith, so I don't want to take up too much time. If I know you got to get onto your business.
We have Tanya and Larry, and that's it. Let's go for it.
Hey Harvey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I hope you're staying safe up there.
Thank you.
I heard today on the news that the mayor wants to reduce class sizes and hire 3,700 new teachers. Is that part of the whole budget, or is this something that just came up?
Yeah, so 3 years ago, we passed a class size bill that it requires them to reduce class sizes. And we've given an extra $1 billion in funding to the city every year since then to help them go down that path. Fortunately, 2 years ago, he took the extra $1 billion we gave him and took $1 billion out of the education budget. Instead of reducing class sizes and putting more teachers, we put what's called a maintenance of effort provision in this year, which means he can't reduce the amount of money that he's has in the education budget when we give him more money. And that's kind of why I think he's moving forward with more teachers this year, because it'll trying to comply with their class size bill. But that's an extra $1 billion that we put in.
Thank you.
Larry.
Hi, the MTA capital plan for 2025 to 2029 remains unfunded. There's a big gap, and there's a need for additional funding streams that will be dependable and can't be rated. Where do we stand in terms of ideas about getting?
Yeah. So there's part of the capital that people know is the congestion pricing fee. It plans to raise between $500 million to $700 million a year. It's going to cover approximately $15 billion in debt borrowing for the MTA. Leaves about $45 billion in borrowing, $45 billion in borrowing. And so The ideas have been floating around, what's called a payroll mobility tax, or a PMT. And that would require everyone who works within the MTA zone, which means New York City, Long Island, and mostly Westchester, to pay a fee, basically, that you'll have, it'll come out of your paycheck, basically, and that'll go to fund the MTA.
Like the old commuter tax.
It is almost, someone asked the question about the commuter tax. Yeah, it is somewhat similar, but it requires everyone inside New York City and outside New York City.
Okay, thank you, and good luck in Albany.
Thank you all and have a good evening.
Great, thanks. Next we have Marissa Yanni from the New York City Department of Sanitation. Do we have Marissa Yanni?
I see her. Oh, I see her account logged in.
Sorry,
Okay. You're up.
sorry about that. Good evening, everyone. This is Tiani from the Department of Sanitation, Manhattan Community. This is just to let everyone that all workers are mandated to separate their food scraps and yard waste. I know talking about that with Councilmember Rivera. Enforcement did on April 1st, so just last week. And fines go up, and how many fences that you have is different. If you are in a building with 1 unit and a building with 9+ units, going up, up, up. This doesn't mean you have to be curbside compost program. It just means you have to set food scraps and yard waste for garbage. You can use the smart compost bins, or if you also garbled, can't hear.
Sorry, Marissa, we can't hear you. It's not coming through. Yeah, we're gonna stop.
You can't hear me at all?
Well,
It's just
it's coming in and out a little bit.
we turned off your video. That should help. Please go ahead.
Okay, is that better?
Much better.
Yeah.
All right, so really just compost enforcement started on April 1st. Separate your food scraps and yard waste from your garbage. It's mandated right now. That was really the only thing. I don't want to take up everyone's time. I only have 2 minutes.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. Hopefully everybody is following through with that. Any questions for Marissa? No, great. Thank you so much. Justin Flagg from Senator Krueger's office is not able to join us this evening, but he wanted to announce that Senator Krueger is hosting a town hall called We the People, Taking Action to Save Democracy on Tuesday, April the 22nd from 5:30 to 8:30 at the CUNY Graduate Center at 365 Fifth Avenue. Please visit her website to register and find out more about it. After that, we have Peyton Schulteis from Senator Gonzalez's office.
The name's been, I won't add anything to the report. Happy to take any questions though.
Great. Thank you. All right, next we have Braca Rosenberg from the Borough President's office. Borough President Levine's office.
Hi, everyone. 1 minute. Can you see me?
Yep.
Not showing me my video to myself, so I'm just hoping that you guys can. I have a few things, but mostly it's in the report. I just wanted to touch on a couple of things that I did mention. We want to thank everybody who reapplied to serve on the community board. We had a tremendous outpouring of interest this year with almost 950 total applicants. We'll be going through them and expect to make our announcements the first to second week of May. Beyond that, I won't talk about sidewalk sheds because I know you just talked about that extensively. And I want to flag our EAT event tomorrow night. The flyer for that is in the report that I submitted. It's going to be hosted by the New York Stem Cell Foundation in partnership with Muslim Volunteers of New York and Ponce Bank and our office. So we hope to see everybody there. Please keep your eye on that flyer if you want to share it more broadly. Beyond that, we've also been getting a lot of questions about term limits, and we have updated our rosters on our website. So if you go to our website, go to resources and community boards, and then click on your community board, so community board 6, you'll see our roster, and then you can scroll all the way to the side and see when your term limit would be. So, you know, assuming you're reappointed every year, when your ultimate 4-term expiration would be. So feel free to check that out. And there's a few other things about the BP stance on woman rank, some recap of our state of the borough. I definitely recommend you checking out the report, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any questions for Brockman? Great. Okay, we look forward to the new members, hopefully before our May full board meeting. That would be lovely. Great, thank you. All right, Victoria Mazzola from Assembly Member Torres's office.
Hello, everybody. I won't take up much time. Mostly everything is in our report. I just wanted to flag that we are now offering notary services Monday, Thursday, 10 to 2, and we're excited to be able to provide that. Assembly Member Boris is also in Albany, finishing up the budget, and looks forward to being back in district. So thank you and have a great night.
Great. Any questions? All right, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Next we have Mackie Bentley from Congressman Nadler's office.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to highlight one thing. Congressman Nadler and State Senator Hoylman and CEO of the Center of American Progress will be hosting a town hall April 21st from 6 to 7:30 at the New York Society of Ethical Culture. We don't have any RSVP or questions just out yet, but if you follow him on the newsletter or social media, just look out there because more updates will be coming in the coming days. If you have any questions, feel free to stop me after the meeting. That's it for me.
Thank you. No question. Next we have Alexander Garcia from District Attorney Bragg's office.
Thank you so much for having me. I know that there isn't much time, so I'll try to keep this brief, but if anyone has any questions, please let me know. All of it is in our report, so I'm just going to try to paraphrase that and summarize it as quickly as possible. The Manhattan Day's office recently announced the indictment of Daniel Jean Kitakala and Edward Cho for allegedly kidnapping and sexualizing, assaulting a colleague in June 2023. The indictment details how the victim who worked with the defendant at the East 14th Street post office became incapacitated after a birthday celebration. All three are charged with second-degree kidnapping and sexually motivated felony kidnapping. Also, our office recently, Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg urged 3D printer manufacturer Shenzhen Creality 3D Technology Co. to adopt security measures against 3D printing guns. And I'll go to my last point. 16 alleged gang members were recently indicted by our office, Mayor Eric Adams and the Police Commissioner Justice for 21 shootings linked to a conflict between La World and Whiskey gangs in East Harlem between March and September 2024. This violence accounted for 50% of the 23rd precinct shootings during that time, and 15 firearms were recovered. 9 La World and 7 Whiskey members face 108 counts, including conspiracy and attempted murder. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask me.
I think we don't. Thank you very much. Okay. Next we have Curtis Young from the Public Advocate Williams office.
Hello, everyone. I know we've had a pretty lengthy meeting this evening. My name is Curtis Young, the Manhattan Borough Advocate in the Office of the Public Advocate Jumaane Williams. Everything is in the report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions? Great. Thank you so much. We seem to be good to go. All right. Next we have Robin Force from the Mayor's office. Robin.
Hi, everybody. In keeping with the theme, I will be very brief. I wanted to highlight for you, I know that the board has had an interest in the Charter Revision Commission, and the hearing is coming up later this month. It will be on the 23rd of April at New York Law School. The topic is it is a public input session on housing and land use. I understand that Some of you may want to testify there. It's also possible to attend by Zoom, and it's also possible to submit testimony without appearing anywhere. Tonight, there is a public session actually in Staten Island, and they will be concluding. I just wanted to advise you on that. I was going to talk about the shed legislation, which Councilmember Powers talked about, and others mentioned. The bill will be signed, is slated to be signed next week. So we all look forward to, new rules, fewer ugly sheds, and more regulation controlling the duration that they're up and the condition that they're in. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
Barack has a question for you.
Yeah, hey, this community board passed a resolution on the 59th Street Queensboro Bridge to open up the south roadway to pedestrians. I just want to highlight that it's really dangerous there. That the bikes, the mopeds, the scooters, the one-wheeled are all, with the pedestrians, are all clustered into a 9-foot wide space. And just wondering if you know what the delay is, just because, really dangerous situation. Thanks.
I understand that it's close to the end on that, but I don't have a date yet, but it is being worked on. People are aware, and I understand the anxiety and also understand the desire to have that finally open. So it's a work in progress, but hopefully that work will be concluded soon.
Thank you. I think that's it. So has anyone signed up to speak in the public session?
They have. Our first speaker, excuse me, forgive me, Alia Sumru from the New York League of Conservation Voters, who wishes to address the board on a resolution being considered tonight here at the board regarding lead pipe replacement programs. Ms. Sumru, are you able to unmute yourself?
Yeah, thank you.
Right. You'll have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin now.
Great, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Alia Sumro, and I'm the Deputy Director for New York City Policy at the New York League of Conservation Voters. As you know, lead is a poisonous heavy metal that can affect almost every organ and system in the human body, often with irreversible effects. Even small doses of lead exposure affect the way that we think and how we act. Drinking water is one pathway to lead exposure, and one source of lead exposure is from water service lines. The pipes that deliver water from the water main in the middle of the street to a building. In November 2024, NYLCV's Education Fund released a report concerning the history and status of New York City's lead service lines, analyzing and visualizing data from New York City's Department of Environmental Protection. On January 9th of this year, my colleague Josh Kleinberg briefed members of the Health Committee at CB6 about the report and data specific to CB6. Here are 2 important data points about the report. Lead pipes were banned in 1961 in New York City. However, for over 100 years prior to this, when the city water system was established, lead pipes were not only permitted to be used by the city, but were at times encouraged. Citywide, there are approximately 150,000 service lines, and in CB6, 27.4% of all buildings, primarily smaller residential buildings and older buildings, have a confirmed or possible lead service line. Starting in 2027, a new federal mandate will take effect requiring every water supplier in the country to replace all lead pipes over a 10-year period. Under city law, the entire service line from a water main to a water meter is considered private property, and as such, property owners will be required to take on the logistics and the expense of replacing lead service lines, a cost of up to $15,000. So New York City is at a crossroads. It can go down the path of the status quo and simply do nothing, meaning that covering a 10-year period, owners would have to deal with it themselves. or New York City could follow the path of the state of New Jersey, Denver, Pittsburgh, and others to create a centralized program that lines up high quality materials and union labor and replace lead service lines at no direct cost to the property owner. One of the recommendations in our report calls on the New York City Council to introduce a bill requiring all lead pipes to be replaced within a 10-year period, in which property owners can opt in to participate in a city-run lead service line replacement program at no direct cost to the property owner. So tonight's resolution by CB6 aligns with our recommendations in our report, and we urge for its passage. I would like to thank CB6 for hearing my colleague Josh and for taking my testimony today. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for your remarks. Next on the speakers list is Scott Heffler, who was a resident of this district and wishes to speak on the topic of construction. However, I don't see Scott online.
He's
here in
here,
person.
he's coming up to the owl right now.
Here with the owl.
Yeah, you
Right.
need to come a little closer. probably.
Okay. Use owl.
All right, Mr. Heffler, you will have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin now.
Great. On behalf of my neighbors at 39 Gramercy Park that are here and those that are on Zoom and unable to attend in person, I wanted to thank the Transportation Committee for hearing our concerns this past week or this past Monday. We found their advice to be invaluable as addressing our concerns about increased traffic and blocked emergency vehicles on our block. Currently, there is a construction shed for half of the property that they're going to be constructing. And the other half is still a parking lane, which they're using to stage equipment and garbage refuse trucks, sanitation trucks, which is causing the bike lane to be eliminated and bikers going into the street. Which is a concern to us as well as pedestrian safety. We are asking the committee board to help us in addressing the developer and moving the staging for the development to 3rd Avenue so that 3rd Avenue, which is a 6-lane street, including parking, does not have a bike lane or a bus lane, so it would not impact those modes of transportation. We have a video today, in fact, of a fire truck that was stuck on the block and couldn't move because of it, which we will share with the committee board and the liaison from the DOT that was on Monday's meeting. And, you know, the Transportation Committee gave us some great advice. If there's any other committees that can also provide help and advice, we would be open to speaking with those committees as well.
Great, thank you.
Thank
And Jim, did you?
Yes.
Can I ask where this construction is occurring?
Sure.
Is this for the site of the northeast corner of Gramercy Park?
That question is inaudible to the folks at home.
Could you just explain where
Sure.
the site is?
So the site is what I like to call, or what my grandfather used to use the word mammoth all the time. So it is a mammoth site encompassing 38 Gramercy Park, 37 Gramercy Park, and then probably 4 or 5 buildings on 3rd Avenue, kind of the 2-story, 3-story buildings that were there.
The reason I ask is that there was one of your neighbors on the northeast corner transferred development rights so that they can build a cantilever over the existing building.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if this is that project? It is that project?
Well, they bought air rights. That building is actually now being torn down. So that building, which was 38 Gramercy Park, has since sold the entire building, and that's gonna be part of the development. One thing I also failed to mention is there's approved, even though the construction plans haven't been approved, only the demolition plans have been approved. There are approved curb cuts, which our concern is twofold. One is there are mature trees on the block that will be affected by cuts. It's like being the Oscars.
Yes. And I must say thank you. I mean, I know your community has been very good about documenting some of these issues and sending it to the
Yeah.
board, and we are looking into it. We've contacted the DOB, so we're trying to find out some more information, and we will definitely.
Thank you. And just one other thought, just with the curb cuts is our other concerns that if cars are going perpendicular into the street and there's the bike lane and pedestrians, it's not safe.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Great.
you're aware of our concerns. We appreciate your assistance.
Thank you. Marty,
We used to have to approve curb cuts.
I don't believe we do anymore. No one asked us. So, but we are following up with our contacts at the DOB and transportation. Yeah, okay. Do we have anyone else, Jesus, that's going to speak in the public session?
No, that's it.
Great, thank you. The minutes from the March 12th full board meeting were distributed to board members ahead of time by the board office. If there is no objection, we will adopt the minutes as drafted. Board members, if you object to adopting the minutes, you may raise your hand. Seeing no objections, the minutes from the February 12th full board meeting are adopted. They will soon be available on the CB6 website. My report, I'll try and make it fast. A reminder as the election approaches that we as public servants do not endorse candidates using our title of community board member. We have a resolution regarding this. This is your chance to use the resolution tracker to find it and review it. A hint, it was passed in 2023, so don't use the Wi-Fi now, but do look for it. We heard from the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice that they are starting an initiative to grow and maintain an urban forest of 30% tree canopy. The current canopy is 22%. The goal is to equitably expand tree coverage. In our district, that may mean working with private property owners. They're looking for civic engagement, and we'll be making a borough-wide presentation later this spring. We don't have a lot of room to put more trees, so it's going to have to be a very innovative approach that we take. We will be giving testimony April 23rd at the Mayor's Charter Revision Commission on housing and land use regarding our recent ULERT process. We have several requests from the press to comment on our resolution against the use of the Soloviev site on First Avenue and 41st Street for a casino. It's a very competitive process to obtain one of the licenses. And we do have questions regarding what will happen on the site if the developers are not awarded one of the licenses. We've asked them to come back and speak to us. But you may have seen they have been approaching our board to find out more about our position. Several news agencies. Our district manager, Jesus Perez, will now give his report.
All right. Since I'm under the weather, my report can keep until exec, but I will remind you what has already been said. If you're anywhere behind the first row and you don't have like a booming voice, you cannot be heard by the folks watching from home. So please approach the owl. It's not that far a walk. Approach the owl, or someone at the dais will have to repeat what you have asked. Thank you.
Okay. Our treasurer, Olivia Shrednick, will now give a report. She's coming up to the owl now.
All right, I'll try to keep this brief. But according to OMB, as of April 1st, 2025, the CB6 budget is $612,004. The encumbered funds are $10,952, and the liquidated funds are $385,244. Encumbered and liquidated funds break down as follows. Rent is $177,905. Personnel services is $198,758. Other than personnel services is $18,732. Unencumbered funds total $216,607, of which $142,811 are street fair funds. This will all be included in next month's meeting minutes, and I'm happy to follow up if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thanks. Rupal was going to give a brief report on the MSBI Mount Sinai Beth Israel Hospital.
All right, I'm up near the owl. All right, so as you've already heard, MSBI closed earlier today. The 24-hour urgent care center on 14th at New York Eye and Ear is open, did open, I think last night. but it is now open, so ambulances are going there. They are gonna add a CT machine in the next couple of months. It's not there yet. It's gonna be open 24 hours, like I said, and as far as other, like, we're basically CB6 is working with Councilmember Carlina Herrera's office to maybe scout for possibly other locations to bring some sort of a health facility. Because we're basically in a desert south of, well, I think like 23rd Street, there really is nothing, like no really community hospital. So we are kind of working with the council members' office to come up with ideas, and we might have something in the works, but that's too early to kind of go into right now. But we are looking for other ways to, you know, try to get something else going. Yeah. Any questions?
Larry,
How would you enter the building? Where's the location exactly?
The exact location, I personally haven't walked by it, so I'm not sure, but I think it's on the 14th Street near, what is it, Second Avenue, or is it Third Avenue that NYE?
it's on Second.
Second, I think it's like
Yeah. No,
around that.
sorry, First
think-
Avenue, it's north, going north.
Is it on the north side in our district?
No,
No,
it's
in the
it's south of our district. It's on the south. It's on the south side. It's not in our district.
Part
It's
of
just
the
south side.
Ioneer.
Yes.
Yeah, it's part of New York Ioneer. Yeah, so it's just south of our district, like on the south side. Yeah.
Great. Okay, thank you. We are working on it. We've now arrived at our committee reports and resolutions. A reminder that the same rules stated at the beginning of the meeting still apply. Members of the public, please note that during this section of the meeting, we only recognize questions from members of the full board. The CB6 staff emailed the digital ballot to all members. Please click on the link in your email to open the ballot. Select your name from the drop-down list and select your vote on each resolution after it is presented. At the end of the meeting, please submit your ballot after you've indicated all of your votes. You will not be able to submit the ballot unless you vote on every resolution. If you plan on abstaining, please select abstain. A reminder that will count as a negative vote. Final vote counts will be announced after the second roll call. If any part of our voting procedure is unclear, please raise your hand. First up is public safety and sanitation. Stu Desser, Chair.
Good evening. First up is a resolution that was drafted by Ann and Stephen. So Stephen will present it. Near the owl with a booming voice.
I will do my best. Yes. I will do my best. Thanks, Stu. Stu brought this issue to our attention in our committee, and then Ann and Stu and I worked on the draft that we passed in our committee meeting this past week. Essentially, what it says is that New York City is a sanctuary city in that we limit cooperation between federal agencies that are trying to do immigration enforcement and city agencies. And what happened is that, as some of you may have heard, in January, the New York City Law Department issued a memo to all city agencies, essentially saying, if you're a city employee and you feel threatened by a non-local law enforcement agency, go ahead and let them in, even without a warrant, into city facilities. So this obviously is problematic. It weakens protections of our sanctuary status. So the other thing that happened yesterday was the deputy mayor issued an executive order, essentially allowing ICE to operate on Rikers.
Right.
So that is also, weakening our status as a sanctuary city. And so what this resolution does is it asks for three things. One, rescind the memo that was issued in January. We want to go back to the old policies, preserve our sanctuary status. Two, we're asking the New York City Council to consider legislation that would explicitly prohibit non-federal authorities, non-local law enforcement from entering city facilities. So that would preserve our sanctuary status. And then third, we are supporting proposed legislation in the city council that would allow people who would allow people to sue city agencies, essentially, if their rights have been violated according to the current laws of the city. So those kind of three package of proposals would essentially preserve and and maintain our status quo essentially. So we're happy to take questions. or comments.
Marty,
Non-local includes New York State, please.
do we need to repeat that? Non-local, does non-local also include New York State Police?
I will let Stu answer that because this was a language issue that we struggled with in the resolution.
My understanding is it refers basically to federal officers, but the language is inclusive enough that it could theoretically include the state.
So FBI, DEA, all of these other federal agencies that enforce law would be prohibited from entering into these city institutions. This is ridiculous.
Wait, please hold off, Jim. Do you have a question?
It's not a question, it's a statement.
Okay. Did everybody hear that?
No.
There's a disagreement that FBI and other federal agents would not be allowed to enter these facilities.
So the caveat there is they are allowed under certain circumstances, right? If there's a warrant, there's exigent circumstances. What we're saying is it's just not, they can just go in whenever they want.
Right. And that goes for ICE as well. They're allowed if they have a warrant. I'm saying that loud.
No,
Okay.
it's not.
Okay.
It's not working.
The statement was if ICE has a warrant, they are allowed. Jerry, are you going to call the question?
No, I
Oh.
have a question. Yeah, just to be super clear, would you define a New York City facility?
These are city, any,
Meaning,
Any
public hospital?
any operating.
I think there's actually a definition in the resident.
It's essentially any publicly operated city.
Schools,
Yeah.
hospitals.
A city public property, city. building.
But jails is what's relevant.
Okay. You're calling the question, RuPaul. Thank you. Do we have a second? If there's no objection, we'll now vote on the resolution. Please mark your digital ballot. Do you have a report, Stu?
Of course. So this month we had our second meeting about discovery law, which Assemblymember Epstein noted is being considered by the governor in the budget. Discovery is basically the requirement that a prosecutor shows the state's evidence to the defendant so the defendant can examine and perhaps rebut it. We've taken this up in committee in part because it's not the stuff of the Daily News, and yet it's really vitally important to see that the guilty are prosecuted and the innocent are freed. So Alvin Bragg's office asked us to support an amendment to the law that would supposedly help prosecutors without hurting defendants. We invited the Legal Aid Society to provide a counterpoint, and in the end, the sentiment of the committee members, I think, was that the proposed amendment would create a greater risk to innocent people than it would benefit prosecutors. So the DA didn't get his resolution from us. We didn't vote against the prosecutor's proposals either, and we might yet further the discussion because there are proposals that both sides agree would be fair. If you're interested, you can check out the meeting minutes from March to get a better grip. Also, last meeting, following a well-presented proposition by Justin, we're considering how we might either through a proposition, a resolution, or maybe just through the board office, use displays of the Link NYC kiosks to encourage cleaner streets. So there's more to come on that. And finally, next month, we're hoping that the sanitation superintendent for our district and separately the police commanders from the 13th and 17th precincts will join us to discuss their thoughts on district needs. And this, of course, will be an opportunity for a larger conversation. So that's it for now. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next, we have Health and Environment. LV Barroso is the chair.
Good evening, everyone. We have two wrestles. The first one is on siren noise, and this wrestle was excellently drafted by Marion. So if you have any questions, I would like to give the floor to you.
Do we have any questions?
No, I just want to thank you.
Great. Marty? Excellent, thank you.
This was Marion's first wrestle.
Yay. Very well.
Why I applied to bring the The second one is.
Well, we have to vote first. Elby, sorry. So if there's no objection, we'll now vote on the resolution. Please mark the digital ballot. Okay, now you can go.
All right, the second one is about the lead service lines, and this was also excellently drafted by the Paul. So if you have any question, I'm gonna give the floor to the Paul. And this is also our first wrestle.
Yay. Do we have any questions? No, okay. If there are no objections, we'll now vote on the resolution. Please mark your digital ballot. And do you have a report, Elby?
No, I wait my report.
Okay. Next up, we have Business Affairs and Licensing. Anton Mullner, Chair.
Hi, I'd like to hear a motion to bundle A through J.
Okay, so we'll take F out of the bundle, or do you want to just answer it now and we can?
The question, this is for the roadway, they have an enclosed facility on the sidewalk. Has that been approved for years to come already? That's why it's not included?
So
Sunflower grammar seed.
There's separate applications.
It has to be a separate application. In fact, we brought that up. And we're expecting a second application. They're two separate parts. It's either sidewalk or roadway. Both the roadway and the sidewalk include. If the DOT sends both of them at the same time, which it hasn't.
So the question, if I understand correctly, just for people listening at home so they can hear, is that there is like a sidewalk cafe already there. Like, what's the deal with that? And in relation to this particular resolution?
I think it had already been approved some time ago. And we had a question about the space between the sidewalk cafe and the curb, and it was adequately answered.
Okay, so I'm sorry, through J, was that?
Yes, for Jay.
Okay. All right. So please, we'll go ahead and with the discussion of KLMNOP.
KLMN, I'll take separately. K is a new application for on-premises liquor license for Brooklyn DT LLC doing business as to be discussed at 1003 Second Avenue. We had no issues, and this was approved unanimously by the committee. We take a vote on that?
Sure. Please vote on your.
Okay.
Use your digital ballot to vote, please.
L, resolution with no objection for an alteration. Basically having to do with the sidewalk cafe. In order to put a sidewalk cafe up with a liquor license facility, you have to apply to the SLA to make the change. And so this is basically what that is. We have no complaints, no issues with Triona.
And actually, Michael Ann has her hand raised.
Hi, sorry, I did you guys skip ahead or are you, I'm sorry, I just
We
missed.
bundled and we're now on L.
That's what I thought. Okay, so, now on L, okay, you bundled. All right, so L. Okay, just to note, I do have a question on the second last one, so. Okay, thanks.
Okay, and a resolution of objection for corporate chains. It's basically moving the ownership from one family member to the other. Again, in order to continue with your SLA license, It has to be approved. Any corporate change has got to be approved. We have no issues to this. There's no complaints. And apparently the business is running as well. I'd like to take a vote on that as well.
Okay.
Okay, and I'd like to bundle N through P. Again, liquor, wine, and beer cider licenses. Boom's Chicken, they have a place down in the village as well. There's been no complaints as far as I can see from them. And very nice looking issue. They did indicate on the questionnaire that the place holds 79 people. If you can get 79 people in there, they'd probably be standing on each other's heads. And O, again, liquor license, no issues there, no complaints. And the same thing with.
No, that's not true.
Which one?
Mike Lamb, please. Go ahead. What one do you want to talk about?
Okay, so, once again, Anton, you know what my issues are for this, and I want to make the board aware of 160 East 38th Street. As per the last meeting, which I missed unfortunately, but I did review the entire, video. And we must make it clear to the building management about not just the signage. It seemed very frivolous, that the lawyer didn't know if there was any signage on the building saying that it was open to the public, but also noting that for many years, this building has allowed encroachment, full encroachment of this space. So if I had been on that meeting last month, I would not have approved this. I would have had this conversation. So that's why I'm having it now. And I've given you many pictures to show. The pictures that you showed to the committee last month were not, it was only on 3rd Avenue and it wasn't inside of I'm talking about El Rio Grande, for those of you that don't know exactly what I'm talking about, the El Rio Grande encroachment that has been going on for many, many years. And this building allowing it to happen over and over again. So I wanted to emphasize that in the resolution more than just, oh, they know that they need to put signs up. They've known that for many, many years. They've also just simply appease people.
And which number are you referring to?
I'm talking about 160 East 38th Street.
30.
30. Okay, and my committee is aware of this as well. You did touch in on the encroachment issue. However, it was kind of just surpassed about the signage. We know that the signage could change. It needs to be lighter, more apparent, but they do this over and over and over again. And that, to me, is not a good member of the community. Why have they been doing it for so long? They're taking away big park space in that space. And when El Rio Grande pulled back just a little bit, I can't tell you how many kids went there to play, how many people got to sit in that space. They have blocked off the benches on both sides, 38th and 37th, time and time again. So I would not approve of them having a license unless they understand this in the resolution. That's what I wanted to bring forward.
We exchanged emails on this. El Grande is closed.
Yeah, it doesn't matter about El Grande. It's about
Sorry,
Grande,
Mike Lamb, please let him respond, please.
and the council is not open yet. And we're very clear, and I sent emails to all members of the bulk committee that under the requirements from the Department of I forgot, Environmental Services, whatever it is that controls the POPs, they have to have at least 6 signs saying that the public space, it is a public space, it is open from 7 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock, or until the restaurant closes, could be 11 or 12 o'clock. One.
Right.
Two. The stipulation is that the restaurant tables must be available to members of the public. They don't have to buy, they don't have to do any kind of service to them. But they are allowed to sit at the restaurant tables. There is no as far as I could see from, original approval for this, public space, there was no indication that there had to be a minimum amount of free space. There was a stipulation that there had to be benches, there had to be at least 9 shrub-like trees along the way. And as I said, in the email exchange, the issue is that we're not here to enforce it. We're here to make recommendations, and the enforcement is up to the city. And if our friends at the consulate or the building are not abiding by the rules of the POPs, then the city should be enforcing it. And the consulate is a new business, as far as I can see, that they are not related to the old El Grande. And I would assume that, and we were very specific in the discussion with them, that they had to abide by the rules of the POPs and have the appropriate signage. El Grande took the signs down. Now that is obviously against the POPs rules. So from that perspective, I think we should say wait and see. And if in 6 months or whatever it is, when they are open and they are not abiding by the rules of the POPs, well then the city should be getting down on them.
Great, so can we move forward? If there's no objection, we'll now vote on the resolution. Please mark your digital ballot.
I would like to add that we didn't talk about the 20% rule. And that's what we talked about with the 33rd and 3rd location. So I just want to point that out, that we did not talk about the 20% rule of seating. And time again, they can put as much seating there as they want and tell people they can sit there, but if they're encroaching, full encroachment, and the bench is blocked off, it doesn't look like it's inviting for the public to sit.
As every building has a different stipulation in terms of their use of the public space. 33rd and 3rd, yes, it said 20%. And the restaurant was encroaching on that 20%. I didn't see anything in the stipulations for 160 East 38th Street that said it had to be 20%.
Okay, let's please move on. Mark your digital ballot. Do you have, is that the last one?
And that's it. We'll report. Nothing much to report. We are trying to continue streamlining our committee because they were getting too long. And Sandy and Jesus came with some suggestions. We used them and we maybe take maybe half an hour off. It's working.
What about 3P?
Oh, sorry, did we do P? I thought that was
We didn't.
That
bundled.
was part of
N, O, and P.
N, O, and P.
We're
Oh, we
bundled.
bundled it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And no comments on P? Oh, wait, sorry, Anne, you have a comment?
I just want to say, I applaud and hope this is, we have had a lot of rentals, a lot of applications, and we've been great job and moving forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, for
thank
those
you.
at home,
Yes.
such a thank you to Ann Tom for his work. That's
Yes.
the summary for people at home.
Great, okay. Next, we have Land Use and Waterfront. Gabe Turzo is going to give the report.
I think I'm going to address this Spark Reso too.
Okay,
We talked about that. Okay, so Spark, we're all looking forward to it, but what are we not looking forward to? The traffic. We saw some alarming traffic studies, what it's going to do to our neighborhood, both during construction and once it is completed. So we are asking for 2 things here. We are asking for a study by DOT on the extent of the obstructions to traffic while it's being constructed and once it is completed. We are also asking the DOT to look into proactive amelioration methods, including potentially buses and potential detours. Now, the reason I have to address a bit of language, we passed a slightly different version in land use than in transportation. So the feedback that we heard in transportation was that the language was ambiguous, and I think that feedback was what we were envisioning in land use was something along the lines of Alexandria Center buses, something like that being built out. but it could be read, and I think it's fair to say it could be read as the DOT running free shuttle buses to privilege a small group of people to the expense of everyone else, and that was not what we were asking for. So we voted on it in transportation, removing the phrase free, which I think is, more accurate to the spirit of what we were looking for in land use, and more to the point, dovetails almost perfectly with what we passed in the ULURP for Sparking Innovation Weeks. So, any questions?
Yeah. The problem that I have with the request for additional buses, public buses, is that I raised this at the transportation meeting. This is a budget matter. This is something that should be in their budget priorities. Now, if you're telling me that this is going to be on their list of budget priorities, fine, all well and good. But as with last month's issue with the parks committee, you can't push budget items into a resolution when they properly belong in the budget priorities. And for that reason, I'm either going, if you tell me that's going to be part of their budget priorities, fine, I'll vote for the resolution. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to abstain. I tried to make this point at transportation, but it got lost in this. I wasn't present.
So to summarize for people at home, Jim's concern, if I understand correctly, is it's a resolution that incorporates what would be a budget item.
I was at the transportation committee and I personally made a recommendation that this be included as a budget item. So I think that answers your question, Jim.
Okay, all right.
Will be in your budget, transportation's budget priorities?
I asked that it would be included. It's not included yet.
So if there's no objection, we'll now vote on the resolution. Please mark your digital ballots. No objections?
Well,
Or,
I think
so-
can we answer the question, is it likely to be?
Yeah, I'm just gonna address that. I intend to propose adding to it to the budget as we make. My intention is to bring it into the budget request as we work on next year's budget request.
Thank you.
Which resolution was this? So this is actually 6A.
Yeah, sorry about that. We did it a little bit out of order. And ready for the report?
Report, absolutely.
Okay, EDC will come back and give us the longer version of what they just did with Keith, I believe. They said they're going. Okay, well, they may have changed their mind. EDC might be there. We have a couple might be theirs, actually. We're gonna do the final discussion and potential resolution on the water club site, so we will be done with that. And I want to thank everybody who's worked with us for this process to create something beautiful there. We're gonna talk about the district needs and budget requests. We only have 3 budget requests, and we're so bring potential budget requests to the next meeting. And then I don't know if we heard back from Soloviev, but
We haven't yet.
we have invited the Soloviev group to come and talk about the Freedom Plaza, which is an entertainment center. I have never seen anyone work harder not to use the word casino in a press release.
Now it's somewhere in like the bottom of the building or something.
And yeah, and last but not least, we got a terrific report from our fellow, Xuan, who, I'll read the title. It was a data-driven framework for resolving curb space conflicts in high-density urban areas. This is appealing to anybody who cares about the logistics of how we have 9 million people in such a small space. It's a build out from how to rationalize our neighborhood loading zone program, but she took it much, much further. And so when the final version is available, I highly, highly recommend you read it if you're interested in urban issues.
It was unbelievable.
Great. Okay, we're now going to move on to transportation.
Right, transportation, we have up first, resolution supporting an open street for the Ecole, excuse my French. It's a school open street.
Little.
It's only partially in our district. Thank you for the correction.
Marty? Okay, great. If there's no objection, we'll now vote on the resolution. Please mark your digital ballot.
All right, up next, we have a request for the New York City Department of Transportation to conduct studies for the adoption of increased safety measures at the intersection of East 58th Street and the Ed Koch Queensboro Bridge Upper Roadway Ramp. We had a nice presentation from Maya, who put together this resolution, requesting to address some pedestrian safety issues and that approach to the bridge.
I have a question. To get to the upper roadway ramp, you have to go down on Second Avenue and make a left turn. Now, if you go to the lower ramp, you have to go west on 58th Street and make a U-turn between First and Second Avenue. You go on the lower ramp. I just don't understand where you want this to take the
There's a flex, Maya, do you want to? Yeah.
Up to the owl.
It's kind of the middle of the block and it starts on 57th Street where it goes both directions. And then it cuts through that block through 58th Street and then up into the ramp. And so this is specifically addressing on 58th Street and the upper roadway. So it's a little bit east of Second Avenue.
Okay, yeah. There is a traffic light there on
Yes.
58th Street. Where you have to cut across up to the upper ramp.
Yes.
On the north side of the sidewalk, you cannot go across the street because there's a fence there.
Yeah.
I'm still a little confused why we're even asking for this.
So we're asking for it on the south side because a lot of it is about visibility as well with the wall barriers that they have, because it's a road ramp onto the road. It's not a true road. So there's not a lot of visibility as far as if you're a pedestrian standing on that south part of 58th Street to see cars coming, for the cars to see you. There is a pedestrian cross light as well. But I don't think it's well designed for the habits of Manhattan pedestrians.
90% of the time, there is a traffic officer there.
Yeah, I think from my experience, they're very much concerned about the traffic patterning more than the pedestrians.
And one of our suggestions is also a crosswalk on the north end of that intersection of there is. That was just part of it.
What wasn't also part of this, that there was a reversal of the traffic pattern?
Which is unclear on the 58th Street side. They have signage on 57th Street, but not on 58th Street.
Yeah, I used to live on 57th Street and had to cross that intersection. And I have complained to the Department of Transportation that they don't have adequate, not only signage, but the lights were not synchronized correctly, and you can get run over. Even though you think you're crossing with the light.
Yeah, that's why this resolution
we're
has come
asking
up.
This is 57th Street, not 58th Street.
57th Street is better.
Yes, please. All right. If there's no objection, we'll now vote on the resolution. Please mark your digital ballot.
All right, and then lastly, in a similar vein, we have a request for the Department of Transportation to study 5 most dangerous intersections in the NYPD 17th precinct. We got this list from the NYPD's State of the Command report, and we want DOT to take a look and review those intersections.
So as we discussed earlier, kind of all of the things that I want to do is 500. That these are the 500. And one of them is literally the block.
Can someone repeat that, please? We can't hear anything.
We're not finished yet, sorry. Speed it up, Ann. Come on, come on. Run.
Speak to the owl. Speak to the owl.
To the owl. No. So I live on 46th and 2nd, which is designated as one of the 5 most dangerous intersections, according to, I guess, NYPD, like their state of the precinct. And it did not conform with my sense of the neighborhood. So I looked at Crash Mapper, or is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And, I looked at the numbers, and the numbers don't show that those are the most dangerous 5, and that there have none of those. In fact, well, actually, that's not true. Yeah, none of those have had deaths, which to me, like, that's what makes it really dangerous. So I'm really in favor of having DOT look at ways to improve safety at the most dangerous intersections. It used to be Second Avenue and 42nd Street, and it's
Yes.
not, right? Now that's down when you look at the numbers. And in fact, even 46th and Second has now turning from 46 or from Second Avenue onto 46th Street has been reconfigured, so it slows traffic down, making that left turn across the bike lane, and that I think makes it a lot safer. So I feel like I would be, and I have all kinds of numbers that I will not take people's time, but I think I cannot support this resolution as is. I would be happy to support a resolution that says, we want DOT to study these 5 intersections that we have said are, we have determined based on. our
And there
own
was a very,
research.
let Jason answer, because it was a
Okay,
very
I'm sorry.
robust discussion of this at the committee.
I understand, and actually, that was one of my comments. I noticed that the vote was 7-3,
Hmm.
which is not common.
Yeah, so similar, basically the same argument was made in committee. We had somewhat of it. Nobody was advocating for more danger. Everybody on the committee is concerned with safety in the community and improving safety at any dangerous intersections. As you raised, it was unclear how NYPD reached those intersections as the most dangerous intersections. But the prevailing argument in favor was that NYPD has identified these as an issue, and we wanted to continue to emphasize the importance of safety and pedestrian safety in the community, pedestrian and vehicle safety in the community, and that given NYPD flagging these intersections, it would be worth flagging to DOT to study these intersections. Barack, I'd also like to give the opportunity because he was advocating for this.
Just actually, there was a death on 37th and 3rd. A 21-year-old girl was run over by a truck right there, and that's the reason why I'm here at this community board. So like, remember we passed a resolution last month because a member of the public said 25th Street just off this bridge was dangerous. Now there's a resolution that 58th Street is dangerous. But maybe the numbers don't necessarily support all of those. But this is NYPD flagged it, that it is dangerous. And I think it's a very small ask to say, hey, NYPD said this is dangerous. Can you just go check it out? I think that's a very small ask of this community board. And 37th and 3rd is really dangerous. And 34th and 42nd and 34th and 2nd is really dangerous. So is 46th and 2nd, so is 59th and 3rd. To your credit, 52nd and 1st, and really the numbers didn't really match, but hey, NYPD thought they were dangerous. I just don't think it's that big a deal to say, hey, and DOT, can you go check that out?
Like replace it with 46th and 2nd, which
That is
honestly,
fine.
I should want, no, I'm saying, like, I should want that, that's my corner, right? But 47th and 1st, I looked between 2020 and 2025, you can, on Crash Mapper, you can look at any of them. But at 47th and 1st, which is a weird intersection, 5 crashes, 3 injuries, 2 deaths.
can I jump in? If you'd like to, the DOT to look at another intersection in, the district, I would, welcome you to join the transportation committee and preferably write a draft resolution, and we would be happy to discuss safety.
Okay, so if there's no objection, we'll now vote on the resolution. Please mark your digital ballot.
You have nothing to do with making 42nd and Second safe. I have to thank you. Because I have lived there for 20 years and I used to have to cross that intersection with my phone so that people thought I was filming there in order to not be run over. And today I can peacefully cross that street. Whatever you guys have to do with that, I appreciate it.
Thanks. I have very brief report. As we've already mentioned, the Queensboro Bridge pedestrian path has been held up on opening that path. There's a protest on Saturday to call on the mayor to move that forward, which the committee's passed a similar resolution asking for that previously. If folks are interested in attending, it's 11 o'clock on Saturday.
And where is the meeting spot?
Honey Locust Park, which is basically the entrance to the the South Outer Roadway, which will be future. Hopefully, it will be the future pedestrian path.
And I've been asked to represent the board since we do have a resolution. I'm happy to speak on behalf of the board at that particular event. Okay. Next is youth and education, and Kevin has regretfully said he does not have the time to head up that committee. So in the interim, John Keller is going to
Yeah, we'll hold a meeting in April and focus on budget issues and determine the way to move forward. I think that, thank Kevin very much for his support in identifying a couple of good budget issues.
Great. All right, budget and governmental affairs. Nad, is Nad?
Kevin has his hand raised.
Oh, sorry, Kevin, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, I just want to say a quick thank you to Sandy and John. My life has gotten a lot busier in a good way with business and family, and thank you to the committee members. I really appreciate our time together. I will still stay on the committee, but thank you to, again, John, thank you, Sandy, thank you, committee members. That's all.
Is Nad?
Yeah.
Stephen?
We'll waive the report.
Okay. Okay. I just think maybe you're going to be taking up the some of the issues with the review of our, oh gosh, forget it. It's been too long. All right, so let's go on to parks and parks, landmarks and cultural affairs. Neil Barkley. Wait, Neil is waving from the crowd. Okay. Housing and homelessness. Rich Mintz is also waving. Okay. Sounds good. So board members, if you have any oral business to state, please raise your hand. Okay. Our assistant secretary would now conduct the second roll. Our full secretary, not assistant, will now conduct the second roll.
And some of you haven't submitted your ballots yet, so please make sure to submit your ballots.
Majed Abdul Samad
isn't with us.
Tanya Arias,
Present.
Kyle Tide,
Not here.
Neil Barclay,
President.
Martin Barrett,
Here.
Elvie Barroso, Jim Collins,
Here.
Stuart Desser.
Seriously.
He's here.
Yes, Stu is here.
So, sorry, I'm here.
Okay.
Beatrice Disman
isn't with us tonight.
Maya Donahue, Robert Farfam, Barack Friedman,
Yes.
Jason Fromowitz,
Present.
Eric Goldberg,
Present.
Justin Goldberg, Gloria Hage, Rabia Iqbal,
Not here.
Paige Judge.
Paige is here.
She's here.
Paige is here. You still need to submit your ballot. So don't forget to submit your ballot.
She want to do it orally?
Yeah, if you want to do it orally, we can do it orally.
She's muted though.
Also send, I've just sent the ballot in the chat as well, in case that is easier.
Paige, you're unmuted now. You should be able to.
Okay, I filled out the ballot. I sent it in and I don't know what happened to it.
Okay.
But, okay, the only one I'm not voting favorably in is the consulate, which was the old Rio Grande. But every other thing I'm doing favorably.
Now, when you say you're not voting in favor, is it an abstention or an oppose?
I'm opposing.
Opposing, okay, and that's 3-0. Okay.
Yes.
No. I'll need to finish filling the ballot out on your behalf once you're done with roll call.
Thank you very much.
Brendan, I can do that in the meantime.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
Thank you.
Rabia,
Thanks, Tracy.
Not here.
Paige Judge,
She's filling it in.
Rubal Kakal, John Keller.
Here.
Nadeem Kalani,
Isn't with us?
Katie Lambda. Sandra Leftoff,
Here.
David Levy,
He's not with us, is he?
David Lowenstein,
Not here.
Anton Molnar,
Here, and I couldn't get on the electronic ballot, but yay on everything.
Yeah, and everything.
Sandra McKee,
Here.
Alec Militek,
Present.
Richard Mintz,
Present.
Kevin O'Keefe,
Present.
And don't forget to submit your ballot.
I got it. I sent it. It says, thank you for submitting the form, and it had an exclamation point after it. What, was I not standing next to the owl? Is that why it didn't go through?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll need to see what's up.
Hey, you don't want to know? I can give you a verbal. I think this is the first meeting this has happened. I'm a yes on it all.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Reshma Patel, Stephen Perez,
Present.
Miriam Ralph, Michael Anro,
Oh, yes, present.
Lawrence Shire,
Present.
Anne Seligman, Sandra Sherrod,
Present.
Livia Shrednick, Mubin Siddiqui,
Present.
Letty Simon,
President, you want my ballot?
Yes, please.
Okay,
I'll get it. I'll get it. Go what
I
the
can
first
go pretty
one.
fast. 1A is abstain. 2 is 4, both A and B.
Okay.
Okay, and let's see.
Abstained.
3, bulk, I have A to K, I'm going to abstain. L to P, I will vote for.
Wait a minute. A to K, abstain.
Right, and L to P is 4.
Okay.
Okay, what's the next one?
And next one is transportation.
Okay, that's yes on all of them.
Okay.
Land use is yes. I think that was it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. So now we're to Susan.
Susan Steinberg, Mark Thompson,
Present.
Gabriel Turzo, James Vera,
Present.
Jerry Weinstein,
Still here.
Sarah Whittington.
Okay, just give us a moment to make sure everything is submitted. Jesus.
And I have one brief, we are meeting with all the people who just joined the board this year. We're doing one kind of wrap up, see how things worked out. And that's on the 29th. 6. It's not mandatory, it's just we're hoping to get some feedback from new members.
Just for me, Brendan?
It is.
Can I just send you something?
Sure.
Yeah, because it's 6 hours ahead of the
So, yeah, just give me a moment.
All right. I see nothing for Anton. I see nothing for Kevin.
I'm filling out Kevin's, given the weird cut glitch.
Okay, I'll fill out Anton. Anton, you were what? Was that everything? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Almost done with Kevin's. Thank you everyone for your patience with me. Okay, Kevin's has been submitted, Jesus. And I see Anton's has been submitted.
Yeah, I just did that one.
I'm gonna do one last quick check to make sure everyone has submitted their ballots, and then I will be the one announcing the results. Yep, everyone has submitted their ballots. So here are the votes on tonight's resolutions. Public safety, 1A, opposing admission of non-local law enforcement agents into New York City facilities. 30 in favor, 3 opposed, 4 abstentions, 1 not entitled. It passes. Resolution 2A, urging New York City Council noise enforcement agents to address harmful siren noises. It passes 38 in favor, unanimous.
Can we skip the descriptions?
Okay. Well,
Yay, nay.
okay, health, 2B, 37 in favor, 1 abstention, it passes. Business affairs and licensing, 3A, 35 in favor, 1 opposed, 2 abstentions, it passes. Business affairs and licensing, 3B, 36 in favor, 1 opposed, 1 abstention, it passes. Business affairs and licensing, 3C, 36 in favor, 1 opposed, 1 abstention, it passes. 3D, 36 in favor, 1 opposed, 1 abstention, it passes. 3E, also 36 in favor, 1 opposed, 1 abstention, it passes. 3F, 35 in favor, 1 opposed, 2 abstentions, it passes. 3G, 36 in favor, 1 opposed, 1 abstention, it passes. 3H, 35 in favor, 2 opposed, 1 abstention, it passes. 3I, 36 in favor, 1 opposed, 1 abstention, it passes. 3J, 36 in favor, 1 opposed, 1 abstention, it passes. 3K, also 36 in favor, 1 opposed, 1 abstention, it passes. 3L, 38 in favor, unanimous, it passes. 3M, also unanimous, 38 in favor, it passes. 3N, also unanimous, 38 in favor, it passes. 3O, 32 in favor, 3 opposed, 3 abstentions, it passes. 3P, 38 in favor, unanimous, it passes. 5A, also 38 in favor, unanimous, it passes. 5B, 38 in favor, unanimous, it passes. 5C, 37 in favor, 1 opposed, it passes. And 6A, 37 in favor, 1 not entitled, it passes. And that is all tonight's resolutions.
Great. If there are no objections, we will adjourn the meeting. Seeing no,
Wonderful, good meeting.
seeing no further business, the meeting is adjourned at.
Happy Easter and happy Passover.
Happy holidays.